And we're back again. Starting a little bit earlier this time, because these have been taking a very long time. I've got my dice board. And just to show the many varied different ways, rather than using a standard 6-sided dice, I decided to roll a pencil. This first roll will not count because I'm just going to show you the... Here we go. So this is the names we've got remaining. It's a lot easier to show you these names on this shape. So the remaining names that we have here... Well, that's not how it picked up before. Hang on, this throw doesn't count either. Right, so here we go. I should be able to pick this up and have it... Oh, it was spinning really slowly before. Okay, well, I guess I can't go through the names, and this throw will count. Whatever comes out on this throw will be the one that wins it. And I draw today. Rightio. That would be my brother. So, one thing that I haven't drawn much of thus far is lizards. I haven't drawn any. However, I was ready for this because I knew he did. This is the only one that's not a request. He doesn't know I'm doing this. So it's be a nice little present for him. I'm gonna send. I don't know. Do I know his email address still? Keep changing his email address. He might still have his old. Does Hotmail still exist? That's what I always used to use. I'll find a way to get it to him. He doesn't know that I'm doing this at all. He is, however, the only member of my family who actually fursuits, so that'll be fun. His fursona is, well, scale sona. They have a name for it. Scalies, not furries, but his costume is furry though. I know that he tends to wear the fursuit with the loose black trousers and a like a tie-dye rainbow t-shirt. So I'm going to try and incorporate that into it. As I was saying, you'll notice that I haven't drawn any scales or lizards or anything. However, I have drawn, and this is something that I actually want to show just before I kick off. It's on the other window. I have drawn Amber a lot. And you might say, hang on a second, how does Amber, my dog, count as having drawn like a fursona of any kind? And that's why I'm going to just bring this window in here for a second. Tell me that doesn't look like a dragon on a pile of gold. Add some wings, boom, that's a dragon. I swear, the people that used to draw dragons on the covers of, what do you call them, like fantasy novels, must have had greyhounds as pets. Because look at this thing. Right. That's the only explanation. I've put off drawing for long enough. I'm going to keep that up as my reference. Even though, I'm not going to draw him in that shape or that pose. I'm going to draw him standing up, obviously. But this is going to go a lot more into the... do I have the recent images? Open recent... that's all the animation frames that I used the other day. Okay. It's going to be the sort of the large hindquarters sort of look, as it were. I may even ditch out on doing the trousers, thinking about it. Maybe I could give it shorts. So anyway, let's get into this. Yeah, so if we have the body kind of as a... Ooh, I'm still doing 80s colours. Let's get into a tool and a pen that we can... There we go, that's better. So, let's go on to the actual layer that we're supposed to be drawing on. If we have a kind of... like I'm thinking this sort of pose, but like with the dragon head. You know what, I should have... I've put my canvas the wrong way around. Image, canvas, transform, rotate 90 degrees. There we go. Zoom out. So if you have the head up here, head kind of there-ish, and we're going to have the big old dragon neck kind of coming down to the body. Sort of, oh no. It was going to be a head this way, and then that was going to... like that, for the sort of dragon neck. actually. I feel like this should look down because dragons are quite tall, aren't they? So I feel like the look should kind of come down, and maybe even could I do it with a twist so that it's actually looking behind itself? So the nose is kind of coming this way. And that's probably a little bit too ambitious actually. So let's do it coming this way. Oh, got a message. Right, so if this comes out this direction, that's the end of it. That'll go back there. This will come to sort of here-ish. We have the dragon nostrils going on there. And then you have the kind of the jawline there. Now let's think, lizard eyes. What do lizard eyes look like? Let's not worry about that for now. Let's worry more about this body, because we're going to have the tail as well. The tail should probably go on the ground actually, thinking about it. Dragon's tail is quite heavy. Then you've got the large kind of hind legs. I feel like the body should be facing this way even though the head is turning, because like dragon's necks can do that. So we're going to go legs down to kind of here-ish, claw on the back, like that kind of shape maybe, except they should come in here. Yeah. And then another one that comes behind. Oh, that's the most weird thing. My brush switch is not switching between draw and erase, it's switching between black and white pen. I kind of like the shape of that actually. I feel like I should stick with that. That looks like a good. Looks like a good kind of shape for it. Maybe even do a little bit going back here. Round that off a touch. And maybe have just another claw coming in this way. Then on the other side we have a similar thing coming up to here. Down to there and in. And of course we have a claw there as well, because that's how these things work. I am informed. I should... Let's rewind a second. That foot is way too high. They should both be roughly on the same level, thinking about it. I'm not sure you'll be able to see the claws actually from there. The dragons have got the whole centaur problem going on, in that they actually, although they're vertebrates, they have 6 limbs. Because dragons' front paws, claws, I guess, come this way, kind of. Let's think about the weight of this thing. It's got quite a bit of heft. It would probably have one paw on the knee to turn around. So it would actually be like that to rest, and the shoulders would be like here. So we're actually looking for the front arm to be like that, and the other one would be coming down this way-ish. Probably holding on to something. Yeah. And then of course we have the wings. Wings folded up, you basically have like a bone structure that goes behind, but the wing itself is sort of like that, with this kind of shape here. That's folded up, this part comes down, and then you essentially have these kind of crinkle into these parts, and you would have like a definite bone going down that middle part, and that's kind of what it's going to stretch against. But this is going to have a slight wrinkliness about it, and there would be another one behind it as well, which we aren't going to worry about. And the question is how to draw something with this bone structure wearing a t-shirt, because t-shirts of course don't go. So if that's your neckline of your t-shirt, this arm down here is way too low. If this is the starting point of the arm, like that's our bicep going into there, that's our forearm there. Back to the eraser, drawn too much. So your t-shirt's going to come around this kind of area. It's going to go behind that knee, so we're not going to see any of that. If that's our t-shirt, we need the arms of the t-shirt to end kind of there-ish. And this arm, we've already ascertained, is way too large. You know, actually we don't need to worry about the anatomy for this wing, because thinking about it, logically, that wing, if the t-shirt kind of comes around here, that wing should go behind, because the whole body's turning. Like this arm should start up here on the shoulder. That's the way to do this, is to have the body sort of turns so that this arm actually comes down right here. That's going to be holding on to a thing there, I don't know what yet. So that part of the t-shirt ends kind of there-ish. And this arm comes up to here, it's like a big... Right, and then this will have some kind of tie-dye thing going on. I don't know how. I'll look up an image for some tie-dye reference when I get into this. You know, it's annoying that when you switch pens, it saves the colour of the two pens, but it doesn't, and it saves the tool of the two pens, but it doesn't save the brush size, which would be like the most useful thing for it to save. I'm I'm now thinking this actually needs to be quite a bit larger. This foot does need to stick out here somewhere. I feel like the largest toe is going to be the one that comes out, but it's actually going to have another thing behind it. You can't really see what I'm drawing here on this. It's kind of all in my head and I'm trying to get it on paper. Well, not on paper, but on this kind of virtual paper. So if I scratch this out, this is going to lower, come higher like this. But then there's going to be another toe which comes behind it, sort of thing. Like that. That's what we need, is that these toes need to have a bit of curl to them. And we are going to go with the claws, actually. But this looks like if it comes down here, it's going to like intersect with this foot somehow, which we don't want. So if I did that, I could make it look like it was wearing some kind of trousers. Maybe these claws need to be further back, like if the body's... No, because the body's turning this way. If the body's turning this way, then this leg needs to be further back, and that one needs to be further forward. That's the problem. This foot is in the right position, this one isn't. This foot... Here. This foot here... Let me see more kind of this kind of location. That way we can actually draw some more of this going in here to show that this foot does not in fact intersect with that one. Okay, now it still looks wrong, but it looks wrong in a different way. Can I... Where should it be? Should it be there? Should it disappear more behind this? Should it be lower down? Should it be further up? Should it just be like behind it? So on the other side of this, there's going to be another one of these in exactly the same position. Maybe a smidge forward. So maybe it just needs to be another foot in front of this one. So maybe we just need another curve coming down here, another curve coming down here, and then that will go there behind. What? Why can't I draw there? I'm still in behind mode. I've been drawing in behind mode this entire time. Well, that certainly explains a lot. So when you think about it, this foot is going to go this... Like if this one comes this way, this one should go that way. We should kind of go more foreshortened. Like that. So this one has a big curve like that. This one has a much shorter curve like this. So the toes will be closer together, but also shorter. If we continue the curve of this foot around, it should come here. It should go up from there as a block and in this way. See, on paper that's right, but it looks wrong. Maybe it should be going that way and therefore we only see the top part of it. Except that if we'd rotated that far, then the foot would be coming this way. Oh God, I have completely lost my ability to tell what the hell is going on with this foot. Like, perspective-wise, it should be like that. Let's go with that. So that toe comes down there. This one, of course, will come up this way. But then each of those will be shorter than the previous one. So, God, there's so much scratching out on this. Why can't I change to an eraser anymore? I've been drawing in white. I've been drawing in... Why have I been drawing in white? I'm having a bad day today. So that toe should come up there and this toe should come up here. That's the solution. And that's what I'm going with. It should, however, be larger. It should come up here higher. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it because it's the best I've done so far. I feel like there's a bit too much arse on this actually. The tail should kind of be coming down this way. Let's not make it... See, if I make it too fat... Oh, have I just been drawing that on the wrong layer as well? Maybe I'm actually too tired to be doing this, but I've started now, so let's continue. This should actually come to sort of there. In fact, the angles of it are all wrong. Let's do the tail again from scratch. So the tail's going to come out this way. Then we want it to swing round in front. And then down like that. At no point should it not be smooth. Like it should be a nice flow like a snake. There should be no obvious corners or angles in it, but a snake can kind of overlap itself occasionally. Like that. For that would have to come in like that way. Right, let's get back up to this face because we've not really done anything like enough on this. Dragons' heads are complicated. They have like horns and ears as well. The ears, as I understand it, are kind of like cow ears in that from the sides of the head they sort of stick backwards. How long have I been drawing with a brush that thick? That is why that tail looks so fat in the way I've drawn it. So we're only going to have one ear visible on this. It's going to have that kind of shape. Maybe back a little bit. But then dragons also have horns, sort of like that. Then we want on the other side of the head as well. But that's going to be behind, obviously. The eyes, if this is the center of the muzzle there, it's going to come down to that point. So your eyes are going to be sort of here and here. That one is too far this way. So I've given ourselves a little gap here, so I need a little gap there as well. So this one should actually come out to kind of here. There's going to be a ridge. That eye is actually going to be present all the way to there. That looks bad. That looks really bad. Right, yeah, that should be kind of that height, and it shouldn't be as prevalent either. I think the eye is actually going to tangent with the side of the head, isn't it? That is going to be an outer surface eye. And without that line down the middle, it's going to look nice. So then we have this shape coming in here. Being the and then dragons have this kind of thing going on down the front, don't they? Probably a bit of that down here as well. Yeah. Okay, that's our pencils done. This, actually that's not quite our pencils done. Let me just get that horn. That goes behind, that goes in front. Actually, maybe I'll never show him this. That'd be a hell of a thing, wouldn't it? Maybe if I make a name for myself as a world-famous furry artist, and one day he'll approach me, say, "Ah, there's this furry artist that I really want to get a drawing from, but I only know their pseudonym, which I've not yet made up. Can you help me find this person?" And someone will point them in my direction. And they say, "Oh, I want a fursona," and I'll say, "Ha ha ha. There is already one ready," and that's when I do the big reveal and show it was me all along. Yeah, that'll do. What shape are dragons here? So they kind of... They should be pointier than that, I think. I feel like it should be more like that kind of shape. Yeah. Right then. So let's start with the eyes. It's always a good idea to start with the eyes if you're unsure about what else is going to fit in place on these things. Eyes are always a good place to start. Actually, should there be a... Should that go all the way under? Maybe it should. Maybe that should come all the way down. Like that. Just think about it. The ridge will be visible there. And kind of there-ish. Or would it be the whole thing? Let's think about this logically. What we're essentially looking at here is a shape like that, extruded in 3 dimensions like this. Since that's curved out, that line won't be visible. Since that's curved out, that line won't be visible. That's part of the same thing, that's part of the same thing. That will smooth off into there, that will smooth off into there. So that would kind of go like that. That would flatten off. Except is that what we want? Do we want the nostrils big like that, or do we want to go for a more kind of just a rounded top? If we just go for a kind of a rounded top to it. Maybe we can get away with not doing any of that kind of stuff for the nose. We can just kind of... So if we say the corner of the muzzle is like that, that's like the square corner of it, that's the edge there, then we know that what we want for this... let's bisect it. We put the centre there already. No, we haven't. We can undo that. We can get rid of this whole line. Get rid of this whole thing here, all of it gone. Since we know that that is the bisection line, we know that this comes down here, up there, and then has the longer there. That way we know that that is exactly there. We know that this is exactly here. Except that this will be the longer one, because that's the one that's going to be facing more towards us. So in fact, this one is quite like, almost like the eyes actually. This one needs to be longer. And also lower. Yeah, that's correct. And then this comes down here like so. I feel like with these lines on it looks kind of dopey. Like this would make more sense. So just leave the eyes like that and then put in we'll leave it like that for now. Right, so oddly that looks right to me, even though I can't tell you why that looks right to me. Maybe it's an angle thing that my brain understands, but my mind doesn't. Should they go there or should they come here? I think they should come here. Like that. There we go. Okay, so now we get into the part where the kind of the animal and the... I almost said the animal and the vegetable combine. The animal and the human combine. It's better. There's actually a little tiny bit of the... Ooh. A little tiny bit of the pupil. I think I might need to recalibrate this. It's slightly off. Oh, you know what that means? It's pill time. The thing is, if you're paying attention, you can tell when I'm doing each drawing every day from the time that alarm happens. If that alarm doesn't happen, it's probably I'm starting just after I've taken my pill. So there you go. Unless I've specifically told you that I'm doing it later. And now looking at this, I feel like it's too cow. It's too cow. It's not dragon enough. Because that is not long enough. Like the nose needs to be out here. Like that's a more reasonable sort of space and shape for it. So this should come down like that. No, that's a pen. That's the eraser. Nope. Yes. That's my solution. Which then kind of gives us the license to do just a little ridge over there, just to cement that is the same. Yeah, there. Okay, which also means that this needs to either come down earlier for that, or that this needs to be longer. I did this with one line and it was so nice. This needs to come down like so. This is why it helps to get your initial outline right. Now, jawline wise, there should be a thing there which I feel like I should keep in. I feel like I need to keep that jawline in like that. Let's get rid of all that. God, I still haven't started anything below. I haven't even started on the neck yet, and we're already getting into this kind of bizarre second thinking territory. That's more like it. You got a fang? No, I get the impression that my brother's not a very fangy person. He's not about the fangs. He is, as they say, all sweetness and light. So let's get the neckline in and then we can work everything else out from that. Actually, I'll do that. It feels like that should come down more like that. Dragon's neck should be that way. Let's get the back one in first. That one should. So we've got that curve there, should come back like that. Meaning that this one has to also kind of come up straight and then go back like that. I'm going to make these sleeves a little bit larger and a little bit looser. So you'll actually end up seeing a little bit of the inside of them. So that will be taut along the edge of there, but this arm will actually come down like that. Same thing here, this one will hang down kind of like so. As a rule, my brother doesn't really wear tight clothes. I think the way that he would see it, the shirts they make him wear at work are tight enough, thank you very much. Because knowing my luck, I've probably drawn the wrong kind of dragon. What do I mean by the wrong kind of dragon? Well, let me explain. You see, there's 3 or 4 different kinds of dragon anatomy. There's the kind that I'm drawing right here, which is the sort of rather bulbous, a lot of back legs, kind of a dinosaur-y type dragon. You know, the sort of the friendly dinosaur-y dragon type, the kind that you see in kids' cartoons when the dragon's the good guy, not the kind that you see in kids' cartoons when the dragon's the bad guy, which apparently does happen occasionally. They do make kids' cartoons where you're not supposed to root for the dragon. And there was going to be like a spine thing coming down there, wasn't there? Is that too bat-like, if you can see an extra bone? No, I think it looks better like that. But there will definitely be like a fold in the wing there. And it will kind of come back there, and that one will go there. And this line is all wrong. But there should be some kind of crinkling there as the folds kind of come together. Same here. So yeah, you've got this kind of dragon I like to call the wingling dragon because of strong bad. Then you've got your kind of more Asian design, sort of serpent-like dragon, like your wyverns or that kind of dragon. I was going to have something here, wasn't I? So my brother goes to a lot of Ren fairs as well, at least he did in America, back when you could still go to America. So I feel like this ought to be like the hilt of a sword. I should probably do this in sketch mode first. So like, if you can imagine kind of a sword coming down here. Of the you got that part there, that part there. What do swords look like? They kind of come. Yeah, swords have a line down the centre. They have the sharp point there, and then they kind of have that shape, right? That's the shape of a sword. And then kind of a channel down the middle. But that would be nestled into the palm. So the fingers would come down here. The thumb would end kind of there-ish. See, they come down to the same rough level. Yeah. So this would come like so. Wrist, fingers, thumb part, palm, more fingers. Not quite. Palm, more no. Palm, more fingers. But then this would come down here because we would have. I'm going to do the Ditko thing. What's the Ditko thing? Well, the Ditko thing is where you, even if you're looking at a hand from the side and the fingers should all be part of the same essential structure, you have one of them be slightly different somehow. That's why Spider-Man does. You know what? I don't have time to talk about this. Look up Steve Ditko and Spider-Man's hands, and you'll understand what it's all about. Yeah. Except bizarrely, it kind of looked better before. Not at that point. It looked better when this was the primary finger and this one was sort of slightly behind. See, there's two ways to draw claws. You can draw the kind of the friendly claws where you actually don't take your pen up. It makes them look kind of rounded at the end. There we go. Just take off the pencils for a minute. Yeah, that works. So let's get in the hilt of this. No, let's leave the sword for last. For now, let's get in the actual kind of structured stuff. So that needs to come down there. So we need that curve to have the same kind of shape there, where it comes down here. Seems about right. Maybe a bit too thick there. So this should be on the underside as well, coming all the way down. Except of course that it shouldn't, it should actually come in kind of along it. Nope. Maybe that'll stay on the inside edge actually. Maybe that won't be visible there at all. Yeah, let's go with that, because it's a lot easier to imagine that we don't have to do more detail there. In fact, this part is in the wrong place as well. If that comes down here, it should really kind of take over. Like if that comes down here, it should come in here-ish, down to the underside of the tail. Maybe it comes down like that. Or maybe it's invisible and we don't have to worry about drawing it. I feel like that should kind of come over a bit more. Like if there was a ridge there sort of thing. And this would come down more there-ish. I spend so much time just doing like tiny reshapes to these lines just to get them looking right, when in reality they're probably fine as is. Although, let me take it back to before I did that whole resculpt. That should never be narrower than it is there. The problem is I can't rest my hand on the thing because I'm going to hit the auto buttons. So I can't put as much pressure on my hand as I would like to. There's a part we missed. So I guess next up is the colouring. We're going to go, let's get the colours pane up. I've basically learned that that helps to bring the eyes to life. I don't know why, it just does. So I just do that kind of rote every time now. So the majority of this is going to be kind of a golden colour. Like that. Yeah. Let's get the right layer. Let's lock that one now. We're on the colour layer. We're going to hide that and get filling. Maybe that head should... Quick change. I feel like if this comes up here, then it should kind of go in a bit. No. Better. Been kind of quiet during this one, I know. It's because I'm just so goddamn tired. Been sleeping real weird lately. I think it doesn't help that Becky keeps having these big naps, which, you know, I don't begrudge her the big naps. She's tired, she needs them. But I find it very difficult to sleep at night if I sleep during the day. But then I find it very difficult to sleep at night in any circumstance, so maybe I should join her. The trouble is, I stay awake, she goes to sleep, it gets to night time, she doesn't want to go to bed early. Although then again, neither do I usually. You know what, maybe it's not her fault. It's my own fault, really. But yeah, she has big naps, so she kind of can cope with it, and I kind of can't, but it's not her fault. I should really get rid of the pencil lines for now. Although I am going to bring them back when I come to do the tie-dye. Just to give myself a kind of guideline. The funny thing about my brother's tie-dye shirt is that I'm not even entirely sure if it's like actually tie-dye or whether it's just printed to look like tie-dye. I had a shirt like that myself once, a t-shirt with like a printed tie-dye pattern, which is the ultimate corporate bullshit thing, isn't it? Like, you know, oh, here's a pattern that people have done because they have no formal printing techniques. They've invented this way of colouring their own clothes, which is free from mass production. Let's see if we can copy that using mass production. There is nothing they won't attempt to colonise. They will package the counterculture and sell it back to you. It's me going off my little revolutionary rants. You know, I can imagine there being some people watching this, not that anyone's currently watching it, but maybe in 20 years' time, if the world hasn't completely collapsed in on itself, when I'm long dead, there'll be people looking for drawing things on YouTube, and they'll find this. You know, if by that point I have become a great artist, then my early work will be considered very interesting to watch. And they'll find this, and they'll be thinking to themselves, well, why didn't she just draw it in, just do a flood fill, basically. Why not just do a flood fill tool to fill in the various sections? And of course the answer, which no doubt a million people will have already said in other places, is that if you use a flood fill, then anywhere where there's a little tiny gap, like here, just here, it'll seep out and go somewhere else. And sometimes those little disconnected parts kind of give the image character, you know. I like having character in my images. I think it looks good. Should dragons have like spikes along their tails or something? Or am I thinking dinosaurs again? With the alligators. As I was saying, there's different kinds of dragons. There's serpenty types. There's your big fat kind of dinosaur-y types. There's your ones that just sort of look like winged iguanas, like genuine lizard type. There's a lot of types of dinosaur, of dragon. This is just the type that I am willing to draw. Especially if you want it to stand on hind legs. Like at that point you're inviting problems, because if you do the serpent type and you make it stand on hind legs, it looks kind of spindly, like Disney film Mushu from Mulan. The one done by Eddie Murphy. I'm talking the original Mulan, not the bizarre live-action remake that was filmed just outside a concentration camp in China. There we go. That's me blocked in a country. Right, let's up the brush size a bit now that we've got all the contours done. So we can afford to be a little bit more relaxed once we have a larger contour to work with. We don't have to worry about getting right up to a very thin line. I was talking the other day about my goals with my art. I was talking to Vicky about my goals as an artist, and I said that I want to be a great artist, and she said, well, what does being a great artist mean? Like, does it mean acclaim? Does it mean success? Do I want to be in the Tate? That's a gallery, for those of you who don't know. It's a big fancy art gallery in London. And I was saying that, I don't necessarily want to be in like a successful artist in a monetary sense. I just want to be good. And she said, well, you are good. I was like, yeah, but I want to be better. And that's an interesting thing, because, like, how much better? Do I want to draw things that look as good as photographs? Or do I want to be able to just, imagine whole worlds? Do I need to be able to do super realistic art? Is that my goal? And honestly, I kind of don't know. I do not know my ultimate goal. But I do know that I want to be better than this. I think what I'd maybe like is to be able to do artwork that's as good as this, but like faster, so that I can then add more detail afterwards. How to get to that point is anyone's guess. So this is going to be a slightly yellower, slightly brighter. That shade. Oh, I should set this to behind, shouldn't I? That way I can go right up to that and not worry about it too much. You know, I feel like I want to do a little anime technique here. I'm going to try something. If I get that colour and I make it shinier, brush size down a little bit, put this into normal mode. Yeah. Let's zoom back in. I need a kind of sort of pale off-white for the horns. Maybe a little more saturated. Let's go back to behind mode. Boop. You know, I watched a movie early today, this afternoon, called Tenet. Christopher Nolan film. Well, there's always little bits that I've supposedly filled in, but I've missed tiny little bits while I was filling. Huh. Missed any tiny bits here? Yep. Yes, I was watching Tenet earlier tonight, and I've really been looking forward to it because it came out during the pandemic. And we're still in the pandemic now, don't get me wrong. But it just came out on DVD. Christopher Nolan was one of the few people who said, you know what, screw it, I'm not going to release my film on... Oh, you see what's happened there? This is what's called a tangent. It's where two forms that shouldn't make a continuous line do, and it looks kind of odd because it looks like the wing now comes out of the... I need to fix that. Only a tiny, like the fix is not a huge thing. The fix is to go back into normal line mode, back to a normal line size, and just have that come somewhere else. Down to there, for example. In fact, let's just draw the whole line in fresh. Now no longer a tangent, clearly goes behind, so we can continue with what we were doing before, which is to select that and let's come back, big brush, go back into behind mode. Zoom in a touch. So yeah, I was really looking forward to it, but it was released into the cinemas rather than onto like any kind of home streaming service or DVD or anything. So I didn't get a chance to see it, and I just saw it, and it's a smart idea, but it's like it's very difficult to follow. Like I pride myself on liking complicated time travel-y stuff. So I can normally follow this kind of thing, but Tenet really had me scratching my head. A friend of mine, Hugh, says that you really have to watch it more than once, which would have been a real boon in the cinemas. You know, if it's the kind of thing you need to watch more than once, they would have sold quite a few tickets. But as it turns out, there were no tickets. So, yeah. Didn't really work out for them, did it? You know, I'm looking at that line now. I just had a moment of thought. I'm looking at that line now, and I'm thinking that actually, this whole shape is slightly wrong. This should arc down onto there, and that should come up from it. So this part should actually continue its ascent all the way into there, and that should go down into that. Come out of behind mode. Right, so the only thing left to colour now is the t-shirt and the white parts. The hem gets thinner here. funny the little things that you notice. So let's just come back in here and fix this up. The easier line to get rid of is the top line, so let's do that. So if that arc comes up there, it should really, like, maybe the whole shape of this is wrong. We should continue the arc up to there. Show a little bit more skin. So that certainly allows me to come down, sort of in a more sensible pattern to there. And we can have another line there, continue this up that way, back to the colour layer. Better see who that is. Nothing important, just book club again. Go for an emerald. There's the pommel stone. Get on the right layer. So we need that kind of blue steel finish. And thinking about it, there should be like a sharp edge. But not there, just there. Actually, not even there. See, this shirt now looks longer at the back than it does at the front. I'm not sure that was a good idea. How many steps would I have to go back to fix that? Quite a few. Maybe I should have had it come down this, like if... Okay, this is irritating now. Thinking about it, if I'd had it come down this way, it would have looked like it hitched up on there and then came down. But now, it sort of looks wrong. Ah, piss nuggets. Things like this, like me saying stuff like that, is the reason that I can't have these things be watched by children. Whenever I upload these videos, I always upload them as not made for children. I don't say, oh, age limited or anything, but I always put not this wasn't made for kids. Because I say things like piss nuggets. I feel like what that would do though is if that would create some sort of wrinkle coming up here. Maybe a wrinkle going down there. But I don't have time to think about clothing wrinkles. Maybe at some later point in time, but not today. One of the options on my choose what I do next year is smut. So I did this thing, did it last year, worked out quite well, where rather than deciding what I'm going to do for myself in the new year, I open it up to my fans. I say, hey, what do you want to see me do? And this year they wanted to see me go full on furry and also do experimental cooking. Now I'm sad to say I didn't get to do the experimental cooking because food became kind of a premium during the pandemic, but I did commission a fursona and start drawing in order to do fursonas of my own. And you can see how that turned out. Look at me now. Turn off the background for this because we are once again to the point of trying to fill in the white parts. Initially I'm also going to use that as a way to get rid of this. Now of course this part isn't going to be white when I'm finished because it's going to have tie-dye on it, but I feel like white is a much better base to begin tie-dye from. We aren't in behind mode, but we should be from this point forward. I have a theory of how I'm going to do this tie-dye thing. And if it works, I'm going to feel like a super genius. If it doesn't work, maybe I'll still feel like a super genius. Who knows? The point is, we're going to find out. See, there are some things that you can do when you're working on a computer instead of in pencil and paper, and there's some things you can do on pencil and paper that you can't do when you're working on a computer. So if I was going to do a tie-dye effect and I was working on paper, I'd bring out some watercolours. Why not? And do it like the actual way that you would do tie-dye by mixing actual inks. Of course, we're not in that situation. What we are is on a computer. So we'll see how this goes. Just going to save this because what happens next may go a bit weird. Right. So, primary colours. It's got a kind of a blue going on. Not that big. Just think about it in three-dimensional forms. It's going to start like that, but then get wider as it goes. Got some green going. Ooh, no, wrong green. In fact, let's put my money where my mouth is. There's a thing that I've always said about the pansexual flag, which is that if you take the colours of the pansexual flag and blur them sufficiently, what you end up with is actually like a complete rainbow. Because the pansexual flag is like a condensed version of the standard pride flag. I'm not too worried about where this lands at the moment. Not that. Right. Whoops. Oh. Now thinking about it, there should be a discontinuity on this sleeve, which I will deal with later. What we're going to do now is take the blur tool now who's a genius? Maybe a little bit too much. Now, watch a miracle happen in slow motion. Oh. Let's go back to our full hardness brush, down to a sensible size. Oh. I don't know why I can't draw right there. Get back to that later. It's probably something on a layer above. Yeah, I've put some white there by accident. You're just talking about that film that I was watching. That Tenet. There's a thing that I've. You ever heard of the phrase "show don't tell"? Well, the opening of Tenet, the first 20 minutes or so, sort of half an hour, there's a lot of telling. There's lots of very close in, like it was sold as this kind of crazy time twisting time travel blockbuster action film. And it gets like that in the second half. But the first half, it's just like, oh, go to this place, talk to this person, go to this place, talk to this person. They know what's going on and you don't. Or they don't know what's going on and you do, and you have to subterfuge them, and it's like, oh God. Right, I'm gonna I feel like maybe it's not quite right. So what I'm gonna do, has that appeared on the wrong screen? Where's that appeared? Oh, wrong layer. There we go. I can adjust the hue of this layer now to give it any see, it's more kind of like that actually, the actual shirt. It's more like those colours. But I think that looks better, so I'm going to stick with that. Go figure. There's a few missing bits. Just there. Yeah, we're going to come to this layer, weren't we? And just do a little erasing. Oh. Let's get down to a normal line thickness. Colour layer, we've missed a bit of the eyes. Zoom in. For good reason, we're going to do some shade now. Not a lot of shade, just a little bit. In fact, no, I'm not going to do any shade on this one. I don't think it needs it. I'm going to just give those a darker colour. Yeah, I think we're done there. How long has this taken us? Hour and 59, another 2-hour one. Wow. Do you want to do a background? Dunno. I feel like I should do a background of some sort. But I feel like the whole thing, if we just... I'm going to link all these layers together. I'm just going to nudge it all down a little bit. Sort of center it. Because they're linked, I can't do that. Let's... going to do something a bit odd. It'll make sense once you've seen it. Going to take... hide that layer for a second, come on to this one, and we're going to draw in black ink here. We're going to get rid of that arm. I said I was going to deal with this later, and later is now. Right, so this one, I want to get rid of all this. Because the only part we want to keep is that arm. Okay, let's do it this way then. I'm going to move that arm to somewhere else in space. That looks nice. Maybe there. I'm still in control of what's happening here, I swear. Yeah, that'll do. You know what, it looked better before. Let's undo all of that. We've run out of undo space. We've run out of undo space. Well, that's a bugger. Right, let's get rid of that layer. Let's come on to this one. Just going to refill that in. Actually, if we're going to go that far, we may as well go the whole hog and go for but then it clashes too much with that. Let's maybe we do it the other way. Better. I have no idea what this filter's going to do. I'm just hoping there's something interesting. I love it. Except... Oh wait, that's a separate layer. That's better. There's one thing wrong with this. There's two things wrong with this. Little clean-up things, just not an awful lot to do. Let's get the claw in there, and this foot needs to come down instead of up. Like it needs an actual kind of foot base to it, like that. Maybe it doesn't need that claw. No, I kind of like the claw actually. I mean, ultimately, when you're drawing a creature that doesn't exist, you can say, oh, that's what shape it is. That is the shape that dragons are. Didn't you know that? Have you never seen one? I've seen one. This is what they look like. Or you think they look different? Bring me a reference photograph. Epic, we are done. Should there be a hint of wing behind there? Like, should there be a wing shape there, just to kind of match up with this one? Yeah, I'm going to go with it. But wait. Here we go, second guessing again. Should it actually come down that way? Should it actually be that that's the back of it and this is the front? So it would... Bring the pencils up on top for a second. Take away the colours, take away the shirt. We're now into the third hour of this. We'll move the pencils back down to there. So would this wing, if that one comes out of here and its root is there, would this wing come up here like this? Or would it go the same, kind of like that? See, I was working on the assumption it would kind of go like that and you would never see it. Maybe it would come like this, or like that. Except that it would be a much more... It would kind of be coming from behind. You wouldn't see very much of it at all. It would come out there, down here, into there. Now you wouldn't see it at all. You see a little hint of it there, maybe? Yeah. I think what you would see is a little hint of... Oh, play with the layers, it disappeared. Right, okay. What you would see is a little hint of wing just here. you wouldn't see it at all. Let's go back to the initial assumption. You would not see it at all. That is perfect as it is. That is done. Saved. Cool. So let's end the stream.